All right, so what we're about to do now is we're going to set up our food plot for getting hogs to come to a specific area. You'll see a bunch of different methods of how people do this. I'm going to show you what has been a time-tested, simple system that has always worked for me. You can set this both up for traps as well as individual dispatching. Right here, I'm on a spot of land where, let me spin the camera. So off in this area, we've got a river, an old dry riverbed that runs through here, a creek bed. And it is a very good spot for soft soil, stuff that the hogs will like to root in, tear up the ground. And then over here, I've got a hill. So on the hillside, I've always seen that coming up a hill, hogs really love that area. I don't know what it is, but they really like a slope. And you can see I'm right kind of in a flat spot. There's a high spot right there where I usually hunt at, right beside that tree. But right here is kind of where I have been putting them at and getting them to come in. You can see where they started to root up a little bit. They get far more destructive than this. I've got my camera here so I can kind of get a trend of them because they're very trainable, extremely trainable. But I've got two different spots over here. I've got one that's kind of favoring deer right now, which I kind of want to keep it that way. And I've got one that's favoring the hogs. Both have had hogs, but I'm going to try and keep the hogs over here and the deer on that side. So, anyways, what we're going to look for is their activity. Obviously, you can base it off your camera and or the ground, the land. You can see this all over the place. You can look through the land, and like over in this area where another creek bed is at, they've got a good rooting up right over there. But I'm wanting to pull them away because he deer hunts on that side of land, and I wanted to pull them this way. And so I'm keeping them away from the landowner and his deer plot, and I'm trying to bring them over here. Granted, they love that side over there where the bank is. The creek is over there behind the thicket, and it's really soft soil, so they'll root it really good and they'll want to come to it. But I brought them up here. I had a spot right there in the tree, right there on that tree, and the problem with that one is it was real close to the thicket. If you drop them, if you give them dirt naps, it's not a big deal, but they get away. They got a really solid shoulder plate sometimes, and they'll run. And I lost one. It made its way in there about 30 yards, and I fought and fought trying to find it, and I ended up finding it the next day. But I said, let me bring them away a little bit more. So now that is about 10 foot from the thicket. This one gives me about 30-40 yards, and if y'all seen some from the previous videos, I usually get them in that. So today, simple combination: water and corn. Keeping it in a bucket, much like this, 5-gallon bucket, for about $7 or $8. You can go get a 40-pound bag of it, and you make out of that 40-pound bag, I make about 4 buckets out of it. So about $7, $8, kind of depends on how the corn prices are right now. And they will tear up the land. So that's why farmers like them out of there, because bush hogging becomes very, very rough, and it will tear up their hay fields. It'll also break an ankle of a cow. I mean, there's a lot of things that hogs do, and they run extremely rampant over here. So next few videos, I'm going to show how I set mine up. I have a spot where I might set up a trap, and we'll kind of go through the process of that. But today it's just going to be dumping a 5-gallon bucket, not a whole 5-gallon bucket. I'm just going to use half of it. But you want to let the corn rot a little bit. You get in there, and if your nose don't quiver when you open it up, or if you don't dry heave when you open up your corn, it ain't good yet. You want the stinkiest corn you can get, and that's just letting it rot. So I'm just going to throw it out right quick, and we'll be right back. All right, so we have laid out about a half a bucket of corn. Hogs can't see very well, they can't hear very well, but they can smell. That's how they know where to root at and find their food. So that juice in there is kind of harboring a lot of the smell, which is I usually let mine get a little bit more sour than that. But what I do to amplify it a little bit, there's two different methods of amplifying your smell that your corn gives off. Give it a little bit of juice. Like I said, that juice is holding a lot of smell. All right. Or another method I like to use is I got these little strainer baskets off of the Amazon for about $4. Came with like 3 different bags. Couldn't find out I had a stick hanging up here that I would just latch it on and it would carry the smell a lot farther. But my stick has since then broken, so I got. All right, so here's camera number 2. Like I said, our tree was. Where is it at? Where is it at? Way over Chonda. And we've came over here. There's a good wood line or a good thicket right there. Good thicket behind us. The landowner, he's actually getting ready to burn a lot of this stuff, which is pigs don't care about it. Every once in a while, you'll see my father and I. He's actually on a batch of hogs a town over right now. Might show up there and take some footage with him. But he's the one that kind of got me into all this. And you know, after I got out of the Navy, I just kind of wanted to do some stuff. And this is pretty easy to do and very cheap. You know, I've got the gun, I've got the scope, the Rix L3. Love that scope. The Leap 3. You know, I gave it to him. He had an ATN infrared scope. I'm not sure which one it is, but he got it like 8 so years ago. And he's loved it. It's a great scope. And then I said, hey, this thermal is going to change the game. And I did a lot of research on it, and I went with Rix. And shoot, you know, I've got some footage I need to post. One night we went hunting, and I used his infrared scope, and he used my scope. Both on 223s. He built his. I just got mine from Great Lakes Firearm. Great rifle. But he, you know, I got the footage through my scope that he was using, and he started laying some hate. And after the math, I didn't get a shot in because there was a big street light in the way, and not only was it in front of me, it was so much light coming off of the infrared was kind of useless. That thermal though, it was like a highlighter. He saw every single one. We had like 5 of them in front of us, and he just started sending rounds. And then you hear him afterwards, "Why didn't you shoot?" I'm like, "I tried telling you, like it just didn't work out." So hopefully, I can figure out how I want to set up some cameras to kind of see the process of hunting is a little bit boring, but when the lead starts flying, that's when it gets interesting. So like I said, we'll show a few videos. I'll show you how I make my corn. It's really simple. I got an empty bucket now, so I'll go make a video on that one. But it's a blast. So hope you stick around. Check out the other videos. Like I said, we'll be showing a lot of information on this one. So y'all take it easy. I'm heading out for right now.